Today I'm talking about yours truly, Abby Jimenez. This is a 4.39 on Goodreads, which is pretty good. This is the fourth book I think that I've read by her. I read Part of Your World, which is like number 1 in this like companion kind of series. I think that's what they call it when it's like it's about the friend. It has nothing to do with that first book. It's not a sequel. And I did not read The Friend Zone, which is number 1 in the Friend Zone companion book grouping. But I did read the Happy Ever After playlist and Life's Too Short. This follows Bree, who's a doctor. She's friends with the doctor from the first book. She is a doctor, an ER doctor, or trauma doctor. Must be ER, I think. She has a little brother who is in kidney failure. He's on dialysis, and he's on the list to get another kidney, but they've kind of lost hope about that. The main guy, Jacob, is also a doctor. They meet at work. He has pretty bad anxiety, and that's a big part of this story. I think that the way they portray it is really good. The way she portrays it is really good. But it was kind of funny because a lot of the stuff he was going through, I was like, that's just a normal day. But so I think we might know what I struggle with. Part of his coping strategies are journaling. That's one of his coping strategies. So he's a very intense journaler. But he kind of has anxiety, and that would affect his social interactions in a big way. Like that's the majority of it is affecting his social interactions, and then also everything beside his work, which I kind of got her explanation for the fact that he's an ER doctor, but he is has really bad anxiety. Pretty much said like, you know, when you're on the job, it's like so fast paced, blah, blah, blah. But I'm thinking as somebody who, you know, probably has anxiety or struggles with that in many areas of my life, I also struggle with it in my work life in a big way. I'm not a doctor, but like I don't see how being a doctor could make you less anxious. I don't get it. They meet and they kind of hate each other at first because she thinks that he's there to steal her job. And he makes a bad first impression of her, but then he apologizes to her with a letter, and she's like super touched by it. And meanwhile, he's in he realizes that her brother's in kidney failure, and his mom donated her kidney to her best friend. Oh no, his mom's best friend donated her kidney to his mom, and it was like, it impacted his life a lot, obviously. So he had said he wanted to donate his kidney to somebody, and so he went ahead and did the test, just like, hey, here's a guy who needs a kidney really bad, let me just see. And it was a perfect match, which I kind of thought it would be funny if they named this book Perfect Match, because they said that a lot in the book, and it's like, he's a perfect match with her brother, but also they're a perfect match with each other. Am I right? I think that would be a good idea. Anyway, it's called Yours Truly because they write letters back and forth. They don't get each other's numbers for a little while, and they just write letters back and forth. And to her, it's like, this is so cool. This is something new. I never write letters. You know, this is a good way to connect with this new doctor. And for him, it's like, this is absolutely his favorite way to communicate with people. And so they do that for a little while, and then they start talking on the phone. Well, then we come upon, which we already knew this, but he didn't know this, that she was divorced and her husband cheated on her with her best friend for a long time. And so she has some real trust issues. Separate from that, he was dating a girl who he used to work with. Things didn't end up really working out. She was not understanding of his condition. She was always pushing the limits, like in a bad way for him, not making him comfortable. And they ended up breaking up, and I felt like their breakup made a lot of sense. Like I was pretty much on his side. Like he was like, yeah, we were not good for each other. We were totally different types of people. She couldn't understand him, and he couldn't understand her, and that was just that. well, then she started dating his brother, and then they got engaged. And so then there's going to be a wedding of his ex and his brother, and he needs to go to it, and they're asking about, his family was asking about him, and he had accidentally kind of just let it slip that he had a date, and he didn't have a date. He was just saying that to make them feel better, and then they like thought it was some girl at his work, and so anyway, it pretty much has to be this girl. So he asked her, like, would you mind pretending to date me just so my family, like, thinks I'm okay, like thinks I'm not like bothered by this breakup, which all in all he didn't really seem to be bothered by the breakup. It was mostly just like literally for appearances, and so that his family could be happy for his brother and not feel this like guilt toward him. So they started dating, and they like, it's the most real fake dating I've ever seen. And of course there was all these scenes of like, she's like, he kissed me and there was no one there. It's like, girl, get over yourself. Duh, you guys are in love. Seriously. Well, they end up sleeping together, but she still thinks it's fake. And she thinks that he's still in love with his ex. That's like the main issue. She's like, I'm not gonna fall in love with him because he's still in love with his ex. Even when she finds out that he is like in love with her, she can't really accept it because she has these horrible trust issues. She just truly feels like she cannot trust anyone. She went through this with her dad, and she just listened to her mom say for years, like, you can't trust any guy. And then she, there's this new guy, and they had some kind of miscommunication that caused her to really, really not trust him. And obviously there was a reason why she thought that he was in love with his ex still. That was, of course, a miscommunication. He could care less about her. But it still was enough to, spark that he can't be trusted. All in all, I really liked the characters. The guy, once again with Abby Jimenez, the guy was just a little too perfect, and he's dealing with his anxiety so much. He's journaling every single day. He does all of these like solitary projects, like he has a cabin that he's fixing up, and he just kind of has his life literally put together. But here's my critique of this book. Now, beside the guy being like potentially a little bit too perfect, I mean, not every person has flaws. And if the person doesn't have flaws, they seem fake, and that's not a good character in a book. But the way that a lot of authors seem to be getting around that is by having a character that has flaws, but his flaws are all fully realized, and he's working through them. That is also really fake. Not everybody has their flaws fully realized. Not everybody is going to therapy for all of their flaws and is like totally self-aware. So that is something that I dislike about her main character, the hero specifically. The heroine, I liked her, but she was not my fave. My big number one critique of this book, we know Abby Jimenez loves babies, okay? We already knew that. She loves babies. Babies I think that baby/pregnancy is in every single one of her books. That's fine. There was too many damn pregnant people in this book. We can all agree on that. People who gave it 1 star, 5 stars, anything in between. We can all agree there was too many damn pregnant ladies in this book, okay? There was the girl from the first book. She's heavily pregnant. There was the ex-husband's of the girl, the ex-husband's girlfriend, new girl, wife, whatever, who used to be the main girl's best friend. She is pregnant. She becomes pregnant. She falls pregnant. Also, they got married. There's a lot of marriage in this, okay? Her ex-husband and her ex-best friend got married. The main guy's ex-girlfriend and brother, which is kind of similar, are getting married, and she also falls pregnant. So that's 3, count them, 3 pregnancies in this book already. And then the 4th pregnancy, spoiler alert, is the main girl. At a certain age, you have a lot of friends who are getting pregnant, a lot of friends who are getting married, mid-30s or whatever. I understand that. But, like, not every single person you know is getting pregnant at the same time. And the fact that his relationship was his previous relationship had some similarities to her previous relationship, it just got me, it's her ex-best friend and her ex-husband get together. His ex-girlfriend and his brother get together. I mean, and then they both get married and get pregnant during this book. Overall, I gave this a lot of stars. Probably would give it 4 stars. I have my problems with it, but I thought there were some cute things. It had some of the tropes that I enjoy. I need to put this down. This is too close to me. For once in my life, the author's note really changed my thought process about the book. Now, I did also feel that way about Helen Huang's latest book, which I was kind of on the fence about, and then the author's note. This book, the author's note was pretty telling. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the author has kidney disease. She was potentially going to be up for needing a donated kidney. She ended up having treatment, ended up working. It's worked for the time being, so she's in remission now. But while she was going through her health issues of, kidney disease, she wrote the entirety of Part of Your World, which is such a good book. It is such a good book. And none of that came through. It was just so cozy and heartfelt and warm, and I'm sure that was therapeutic for her to write a book like that. But it wasn't about her health issues. Since she has been in remission, she wrote this book, Yours Truly. And it does include some of those themes, but I wouldn't know that the author was going through that. But it was just a really great reminder about how important kidney donation or, organ donation can be. I think it's not something you see in contemporary books very often. My mom donated her kidney, and I would love to donate my kidney someday. I think it's a wonderful story, and I commend her for writing about her life experience. So I did think the book is making a little bit more sense after hearing that author's note. The kidney part was kind of a back burner to the rest of the story, where I could have felt like the kidney could have been a bigger part of it. Potentially, she didn't want to make it too big of a part, because then then when people found out, they'd be like, okay, so this book is like literally about her kidney situation. I'm sure we'll be getting another book, and they already have other couples set up. So I'm sure we'll be getting another book in this series, and I will read it. And that's all.